Yes, how are you everyone? It is my hope that you are all fine. I'm very much glad. I'm fine. I'm very much glad to be here today for the second video. I remember for the first video, we were talking about digestion in the mouth. The first video, we were talking about digestion in the mouth. Now, I promised you that we're going to produce another video, a second video, that I'll be talking about digestion in the stomach. I'll be talking about digestion in the stomach. Remember, I'm talking about digestion in human beings. I'm talking about digestion in human beings. So, as you can remember in the previous video, I said that digestion is the process of breaking down food into smaller particles that can be absorbed by the body. I said that digestion is the process of breaking down food into smaller particles that can be absorbed by the body. Therefore, we saw that when you take food and you put it in the mouth, we said that process known as injection. So injection is the process whereby food is taken into the mouth. So the process whereby you take food into the mouth known as injection. And once food is now ingested in the mouth, food meet there with the following. It meets with teeth, it meets with saliva, it meets with the tongue. And I told you about the function of the teeth, the function of the saliva, and the function of the tongue. And I said after the food has been broken into very small round balls known as boluses, the boluses are small round balls. After the food has not been made into small round balls known as boluses, the food will be pushed back to the esophagus. This is the esophagus. The food will be pushed back to the esophagus. So the food from the buccal cavity or from the mouth will be pushed back to the esophagus by the tongue. Now let's talk about digestion in the stomach. Let's talk about digestion in the stomach. Once the food now has been pushed back into the esophagus, as you can see, this one is called esophagus. It is known as esophagus. It is also known as gullet. It is also known as food pipe. This one is known as esophagus. It's also known as gullet, and it's also known as food pipe, as you can see here. Now, once the food is now here, remember the food will go through the esophagus to the stomach. Now, here there is there's something very much important that I want to talk about. When the food is now present in the esophagus or gullet or food pipe, my viewer, as you can see, here the food will move in a wave-like form. The food will move in a wave-like form. The food here, as you can see, let me show you how it will look like. The food here will move in a wave-like form. The food here will move in a wave-like form. And these waves. The food here will move in a wave-like form. Remember, these are the boluses. The food that has been made into round balls known as boluses. So now the boluses now will be moving along the esophagus or gullet or food pipe in a wave-like form. So as you can see, when the boluses will be here, this place will be swelling a little bit, and then when they move down, the place will just contract in that manner. So now this wave-like form, or this movement is known as peristalsis. This movement here is known as peristalsis. It is known as peristalsis. Peristalsis. So this peristalsis is that wave-like form, the movement of the boluses in a wave-like form as it moves along the esophagus to the stomach. So once the food is here, the food will move into the stomach along the esophagus in a wave-like form. So that process, the peristalsis is that process whereby food moves along the esophagus to the stomach in a wave-like form. Peristalsis is that process whereby the boluses or the food moves along the esophagus to the stomach in a wave-like form. So that process is known as peristalsis. All right. Then, as from there, the food now will be present. The food has already moved along the esophagus. It is now present in the stomach. It's now present in the stomach. Now let's talk about digestion in the stomach. The food now is not present in the stomach. So this one is known as the stomach. The stomach. The function of the stomach is the function of the stomach. The food is stored there a little bit. So once the food is present in the stomach, pay a very close attention. Once the food now is present in the stomach, it's going to meet with different juices, different gases and different juices. As you can see here, we have what to call pancreas. This one is called a pancreas. It's called a pancreas. This one, a viewer, who knows? Anyway, this one is known as liver. This one is called a liver. This one is called a liver. And then this one here is called a gallbladder. Gallbladder. This one here is known as a gallbladder. Also, this one here is the large intestine. Large intestine. Large intestine. Or it's also known as, this one is called large intestine. Or it's also known as colon. It's also known as colon. Known as colon. Yeah. And then from there, we have what to call small intestine. Small intestine. Small intestine. Also, it is known as ileum. It is known as ileum. The small intestine is known as ileum. And here, finally, here we have what we call anus. And without forgetting this part, also is known as this one is known as rectum. Rectum. So, my viewer, as you can see, all of these are the parts of the these are all the parts of the digestive system in the stomach. So look at these parts. Look at these parts. So when we were talking about digestion in the mouth, I showed you about different parts of the mouth, and you saw teeth, you saw tongue, you saw saliva. Here now we are talking about digestion in the stomach, and you have seen all these are the parts that are present now in the digestion. So I've seen all the parts. You can see this one is esophagus or gullet or foodie pipe. This one is stomach. This one is liver. This one is gallbladder. This one is pancreas. Here we have what you call large intestine. Large intestine, I've said, this is known as colon. Here we have a small intestine, which is also this is small intestine, which is also known as ileum. So, my viewer, as you can see, now the food has moved along the esophagus. The food now has moved along the esophagus. The food now has moved along the esophagus, or foodie pipe or gullet, to now to the stomach. Now to the stomach, it's going to meet with different juice. It's going to meet with different juices or different juices and acids. So here we have liver. Here we have what we call gallbladder. This one is called liver. This one is known as a gallbladder. Here, this one is known as a pancreas. This one here is known as a large intestine, or also is known as colon. Here, this one is known as a small intestine or ileum. Small intestine or ileum. This one here is known as anus, and this one is known as a rectum. Now, once the food is now present, in the stomach, it's going to meet with different juices. Here, from the pancreas, we are going to have what we call pancreatic juice. From the pancreas, we're going to have what we call pancreatic juice. Pancreatic juice or juice. From the pancreas, we're going to have what we call pancreatic juice. Here, the liver produces a juice known as bile juice. The liver produces a juice known as bile juice. So, a juice known as bile or bile juice is produced by the liver. Remember, guys, the pancreas produces what you call pancreatic juice. The liver produces what you call bile juice. Now, after the liver has produced what you call bile juice, that juice is going to be stored in the gallbladder. So bile is produced from the liver and is stored in the gallbladder. So the function of the gallbladder is it stores bile. All right. So in your exams, you'll be